What's going on, everybody? It's Jury from the PBL. Um, I haven't had an opportunity over the last few days to dig deep into the update. Haven't really had a chance to play. I've been getting ready for this upcoming week with the PBL Pro Tournament kickoff. So I figured I'd bring in a couple of guys from one of the Pro Tournament teams to give me some advice. Let me know what's going on with the patch and kind of give me their expectations moving forward with the pro tournament. So they're from my guild, so it's easy to find those guys. But I have Wolf and JDK. What's going on, guys?
What's up, Jerry? Nothing much. Just glad to be here to help out with this interview, maybe help out all these players and answer some questions that they may have themselves. Nobody those are answered through this interview.
What about you, Jay?
It's great to be here. Nice to answer some questions for the people that want to know about the PVO. I feel like the good point about this interview is kind of, yeah, we might not be able to get to every question, but as long as we answer every question we can, get something, how do I say,
Get
some,
some of that information out there.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's my goal, and honestly, as a guy that plays a lot of support, and we'll get to this in a minute, but I need all the help I can get with these new items. But initially, what are your thoughts on the changes that they made in the patch, graphically and otherwise?
Graphically, it's gorgeous. Sadly, I can't see its full potential. My phone is a dinosaur right now. It can't run at those high-end graphics, but I've seen it like on a brown bag stream, and it's just gorgeous to say the least.
Yeah, I watch a or watch. I listen to a podcast called The Tower Dive. The TJ who does the announcing for the ESL, he does that once a week, and they had mentioned a couple of weeks ago that the big purpose of the graphical update is because the map and the function within our map is totally different from the Kings of Glory map. It's totally different from all the other maps on all the other different versions of the game and different servers. So the purpose of this is to kind of get everything on the same page. The Switch obviously is a big deal, but I think they realized the significance of that when they brought everybody to LA, a few months ago for the international tournament. But I think it's a good idea moving forward because, I mean, not that I travel to Taiwan or Thailand, a lot, but if I were to go there, or as a pro player, if I were one, if I went there, I would be able to just jump right in, understand everything that's going on, and it would all be familiar to me. I think that was the gap they were
Exactly.
trying to fill.
And not just that, but in my personal opinion, some of the design rehauls, like for the Abyssal, Slayer, and the normal buffs, it's very aesthetically pleasing. Like, especially with the towers, how as you're going down lane, you see the towers rise from the ground, and just
Yeah,
the, the new appearance of the buffs. And like, honestly, it's just a bit nerdy, but now when I'm fighting Darkslayer, it just feels much more epic because you're fighting this like monster that's towering over your team, and
yeah.
it just gets a much bigger emphasis on how big these creatures truly are.
Well, yeah, definitely. And I mean, as much stuff as you get from them, they ought to be pretty big. Um,
Right?
but well, which with the addition of the enraged abyssal buff, Jay, which buff do you think is the more important buff now?
I feel like being able to decide whether you want to go for Enraged Abyss or Dark Slayer is kind of, it's more of a team call. I'm gonna throw out an example. Let's say that you have, if you have like a heavier team, like a beefier team, like if you have more front lines than you do with marksmen and mages and all that, I kind of am leaning towards the Dark Slayer with that kind of comp.
Okay.
But if you feel like you're doing like a side lane, like a two warriors, and an ADC jungle, a mage, I kind of go towards that buff from the Enraged Abyssal, because that the health will really benefit the tanks. But if you don't have many tanks, you might as well go for the damage buff. So it really depends on what your team feels like they need.
Yeah. Well,
Mind if I say something there?
yeah, I was about
Uh,
to take it to you.
okay. Jay, that is a really good point, but honestly, in my opinion, I believe it's situational not on your comp, but how the match is looking. Say they still have like 3 towers in a lane and you want to take care of those towers, then yes, Slayer, in my opinion, would be the priority because that's all about taking towers. Say the enemy team's already at high ground towers where there's a whole lane that's already clear and you need to win a team fight, then Enraged Abyssal is definitely the way to go because that's what will help you out in team fight more to end the game.
Yeah, and well, Wolf, you're a support guy, so you're probably really, really interested in the fact that each buff is different per character. So I mean, that should benefit you substantially, right?
Oh yeah, I love the support specific buff. The fact that I get to help just by standing by some of my teammates, I help them regen a bit of health.
Yeah.
Just my presence being there, that's actually it saved a couple of the guys already.
Well, have I guess there's a big thing about characters being meta. Everybody's focused on, what Samurai Gamers posts as their tier list. And a lot of people focus on a lot of different things, but have you have you seen any characters that have obviously, with a lot of changes going on, have you seen any characters that are definitely going to be added to the meta or any characters that you think will be removed from the current meta?
Um, Most definitely, by what I'm seeing so far, no nerfs have been substantial enough to necessarily remove anybody from the meta. In fact, I think this patch has only added more people to the meta, or potentially added more people.
Yeah,
Um,
I would agree. I think there are a lot of people that have ignored Marcia, and it's like all of a sudden everybody she's on their radar and she's free right now anyway. But I
yeah,
think she is a really strong character, has been a strong character, and conveniently now she's free and she got buffed, and everybody acts like she's the new character. I think I've seen more people playing Marcia than I have playing the new character.
Emily, I think that's her name.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. But Jay, so but would you agree with us thinking that no one's necessarily removed from the meta, but more people have been added?
Yeah, I kind of agree in what you're saying. Just from a jungle point of view, I kind of feel like Work and Lindis were kind of the pre-patch meta. But recently, I've been seeing a lot of Violet, Slims, more of a more damaging ADC or tank dependent ADC jungle. I
Yeah,
guess it really just depends on of how do I say this? Really kind of depends on which kind of buffs or like team or which buff you want to go for. I don't
yeah.
really know how to word this.
I see what you're saying, but but yeah. Long story short, like in Diamond Ranked, when I'm ranking with a couple of friends, the insta bans are still there. Superman is still getting banned all the time. Rourke's still getting banned all the time. Those characters are never getting let through. Even though they got the nerfs, they're still very substantial and very deadly.
Oh yeah. And Rourke, I mean, even without the buff or without the bug, he's a monster, and I seriously doubt that's going to really affect the fact that he's going to be auto banned anyway. Um,
Yeah, because the bug really only affected towers. He's still just as lethal in team fights. Um, but supports, I'm really glad for it. Actually, I'm the support main for the team, and supports definitely have a bigger place and a bigger impact in the meta. Um, Chognar, for example,
yeah,
he was always a very viable pick, but a lot of people sort of ignored him because his damage potential is not the greatest. He's pretty tanky if built right, but at the same time, he's not the tankiest. A lot of people, when they're thinking of a tanky support, they're thinking more of Lumber, Crashed, those kind of picks. But where he always shined was his cleansing capabilities. And
yeah,
there's a new support item, Cleansing Braces, I believe the name. It just adds another cleanse ability to his kit and a smaller heal. along, and it just lets him help support his team even more.
Well, I mean, I would disagree about his damage. Like, I mean, Chognar being pretty much my main, he can do crazy damage if you, I mean, even if you build him as a tank and function him as a support, you can still, I mean, just snipe kills. I think I've got a screenshot somewhere of a 26-point game on Chognar. I mean, and I built him as a tank. It's armor. There's no damage. Orb of the Magi was the only damage. But I mean, I agree. I mean, the addition of those items is going to be a substantial benefit to players that are kind of tired of just the Call of Duty mentality. Just go in, try to do as much damage as you can, and live. You know, you can't. I mean, the game
Exactly. Like
has to function as a team, and you don't realize that in bronze, maybe. You know, but once you
to
get to
gold at
gold,
least.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you realize that unless your team is going to function together and not be just toxic and flame each other, there's no chance you're going to win. Like one person cannot properly carry a team, but one person can be the person who initiates teamwork. And so, I mean, I think Brown Bag made a video about if you lose, it's your fault. That's 100% right because
Exactly.
you could have been the catalyst to a successful game. Now you're going to lose games, everybody is, but it's just to me that video is the most true thing I've seen, and I think the design of this patch is to better to give a better option for someone to be that person.
Mm-hmm. But like this patch after it, before, let's be honest, maybe on occasion, but you never ever really see a support pick in solo queue. After this
True.
patch, every game I've seen someone, if it wasn't me, myself, I would see someone else going support. And it's made me really happy. A lot more people are like dabbling into supports and seeing its potential and capability and how it can really benefit the team.
Yeah, definitely. Well, the items specifically, you're a support main. How are they going to change the team builds and gameplay of like at the competitive level? I mean, you mentioned a couple of items, but is there something that you think is going to be a must-have item or
Um, so a lot of people they still have the whole dual laning mentality. Despite I strongly believe roaming is having a roamer is much better than having a dual lane. And like for those teams, the item Tide Caller's Mark, that's hands down the item for them because not only does it boost the defense and attack of whoever the person you're standing closest to, it also is like a weaker version of Teamy's passive in the sense it gives your teammate extra golden experience each time a
yeah,
minion dies by you after you max out your stacks. And then the wind items, like Ring of the Fiend, I believe, and the Windshield, it gives people like me, roamers, more movement speed. And if we have the lowest amount of gold and the lowest amount of experience or the lowest level, every 5 seconds it gives us that golden experience so we don't get too far behind. So yes, this vastly changes the game because normally I'd get carried away and trying to get vision for the team, I would end up getting like 2 to 3 levels behind. That's a
yeah,
very bad thing.
oh
But
yeah,
with these items, it gives me a bit more leniency to spend more time away from lanes and trying to get vision for the team.
well, and that's huge. Um, well, let's see. Let's go down the list. Let me ask that. Ask that. Pretty much think we've covered everything except the actual PVL. Are you? There are 16 teams. It's a 12-week league in the regular season. Initial thoughts based on some of the stuff we've done recently. The non toxic had had a tournament leading into the patch. We had a couple of exhibition tournaments and things before. Having seen most of these teams play, do you guys have like a pick? Like, who do you think will win the PVO?
Oh, if before I point this out, I feel like the teams that are in the PVO, they all have their own comp. They all have their own strategy. If like the team that probably will win the PVO overall, just on that by like a not a hindsight point of view, but the team with the best organization and gameplay, let's say, the best team that has the team that has the best teamwork, I feel like will probably win the PVO because if they're able to stick together, communicate, just hold on as a team in general, they should be able to pull through for that win.
Do you like with the AWC? We saw not the same team played every single game, but do you think with the addition, with the changes that came from the patch, do you think that's going to open it up so that the PVL will give more insight into other characters and seem less like auto pick for a lot of these guys?
Oh
I
yeah,
feel
most definitely. There's going to be some newer picks people have not seen in competitive play. That's for certain.
Hopefully not a Lumia. I'm really honestly, I want to see Marja. I want to see somebody roll in with Marja and just rip it up. I'm pretty excited
Marsha.
about that.
Marsha would be an
I
interesting
mean,
pick to see.
for example, people might see me rolling Fane again because he was already a viable pick before the patch, and now he's actually gotten a buff for the support items.
Are you
So,
saying that because I griefed you about picking Thane?
I mean, I'm just saying, Fane is not as bad as a lot of people give him credit for. But so on the fact of who we think we will win, definitely like us and other teams that were performing in the lower elo and NTG's tournament, we're gonna have a much harder time. Because yes, we know how the teams in our bracket played, but the monster bracket with Flipside, Kranis, that's going to be a rude awakening for a lot of people.
Yeah, true.
Um, like my team, ATF, our team, we're still worried about Kranis Flipside them because we're like every chance we get, we do train our butts off trying to get prepared for it. And like Bags, he's going to be coaching us on NTG's tournament soon, and we like as us right now. No, ATF will not win the tournament. But by the time within 5 weeks or so, when we do have to face Kranis or Flipside in them, we may have a better chance and we may be able to pull a victory out. But that will require very intensive training to make that gap and go from the lower elo to the monster bracket.
Yeah, but don't you play Kranas in week 2?
Last I checked, wasn't it week 5? Unless you changed it.
Uh,
I
I
believe we do play Kranis week 2.
I don't think I changed it. I mean, it's been the same.
I'll have to
Oh
check it
yeah,
again. But
yeah. I'm looking for it now because I mean maybe I'm wrong, but it's pretty early in the whole
yeah,
swing of things.
but like that's what I'm saying. Right now, yes, we did win NTG's tournament, but we know for a fact we're still not ready for those monster bracket teams. Um, but maybe we, despite the fact that we are not ready, hopefully we will put up a good fight, put up a good show. All I know is we'll show up and do our absolute best. That's what anybody can ask for.
Yeah, and I know a lot of just in talking to all the teams that are playing, I am way more, and obviously I put the whole tournament together, and this is kind of my baby, but I am way more excited about this than I ever thought I would be. We have some fantastic teams. You know, I see so much potential that I'm excited about Wednesdays and Thursdays coming up, and I hope you guys are too.
We are. We're just hoping the team can make it every time because sometimes something may come up and the member may not show. Because for ATF to be able to get high up in there, we're going to have to be at our best at all times.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I was totally wrong. You guys definitely play Kranas in week 5, so you were right. But anyway,
I was getting worried. I'm like, I don't remember week 2 being said.
but I appreciate you guys coming on and just kind of giving everybody a little bit of guidance on the patch. Let me go ahead and drop this off.
All right.
But
Well, thank you for having us.
yeah, definitely. And just for everybody else, if you have any questions for the guys from ATF, definitely make a note in comments. We would love to see it's still my guild. But we would love to see what your thoughts are, and we would love to help if possible. We've got a very public Discord. Obviously, you can catch up with us in the PVL community Discord. But I'm going to continue to interview teams, both in preparation of the PVL and moving forward, so you can get an idea of their thoughts on what's going on with the game. So stay tuned, subscribe, and I'll keep bringing you content. See you guys later.